welcome back to another video. And in today's video, we're talking about another undrafted free agent signing the Detroit Lions made this offseason. And today we're talking about Bobby Price, the safety out of Norfolk State. Let's get it started. Welcome in everybody to another video. I'm glad you guys are here. Now there are a lot of plans coming with this channel, okay? We're trying to catch up on everything. I did a Manning video yesterday. You guys seem to support that, so that will definitely be coming back. There's just a lot of things that I'm trying to catch up with and make happen. So definitely stay tuned. Be patient. All right, be patient. They're coming. Because this weekend, oh my gosh, the end of this week has been crazy busy right now, okay? But hey, we're pushing through. We're going to make it happen. We got a lot of big things on the horizon. But before we get into that, as I've said in most of my other videos recently, big things are coming July 4th. If you guys want to be a part of it, make sure you go in the description and follow the social media links of Fan to Fan Network. Big things are coming, man. A huge takeover is coming. I'm telling you, don't sleep on this. This isn't just something that I say is like, oh yeah, it's cool, it's going to be cool. No, it's going to be big time. And if you guys want to be part of it, definitely go in the description. Follow those social media links on Twitch specifically because it's going to be big. So now let's get into the video and let's talk about Bobby Price. Now you may not know Bobby Price, or you may know him. We've talked about two safeties before Bobby Price today. We've talked about Jeremiah Dinson. We've talked about Jalen Elliott, and now we talk about Bobby Price. The Lions signed a lot of safeties. What can I say? Now I don't necessarily know who I do next. I think we have Steven Wirtel. I think we still have him to do, and we have Luke Sellers. One of those are a fullback, and one's a long snapper. So if you guys want to see those, I can. I can't promise you the video is gonna be long or super entertaining because I don't know necessarily what I'm gonna say about him, but I'll try, okay? Now, Bobby Price was a little hard to find film for because he's an FCS player right there, an FCS school. They don't have this film that you can find, like a player versus another team. It's really hard to find. So I had to watch like full games and try to really dig deep for these clips. Also, the quality's not very good. I'm sorry. The quality didn't come out great. I don't know. I had the quality all the way up. That's just how it came out. I was like, all right, well, I guess we're just going to rock with it. It's better than nothing. So Bobby Price is a safety out of Norfolk State that usually wouldn't get people that excited, except for he has one thing. And Isaiah Simmons has kind of changed the way we look at safeties a little bit. Not in a bad way, a good way. Because, your standard safety is the guy that drops into coverage, your last line of defense. He's a good coverage guy. And he just kind of does little different things. Maybe he can play zone. Maybe he can play and give a little bit of run support. Maybe he's a guy that can play man-to-man at the secondary, all right? He can mix around a little bit. But now with the emergence of guys like Isaiah Simmons, it's really exciting to look at those big safeties, right? Those big guys that can drop down as like linebackers, that can really play run support, and that can be their major role. Especially teams like the Lions, the Patriots, those teams that utilize three safety sets. These guys are really intriguing. And now I'm not saying Bobby Price is Isaiah Simmons. Please don't think I'm saying that, because there was also more players in this year's draft that came out with that kind of size, right? Isaiah Simmons. We saw Kyle Duggar. He was a little bit bigger. We saw Jeremy Chin. He was a bigger safety that was kind of like a linebacker. And now Bobby Price. And if you don't know Bobby Price, that's one of his main calling cards, is being a crazy athlete with a lot of size. Bobby Price is listed as 6'4" by most, draft profiles, as a 205-pound safety all the way up to 216 pounds. I saw both. I saw 205, I saw 216. So you could take the in-between if you want, 210, 211. You could say that if you want to. But either way, all right, he's over 200 pounds, and the dude is 6'4". A 6'4" safety usually excites people because you don't see that a lot. And that's one thing that you really cannot teach is size. Size is something you can't teach. That is exceptional size, especially for a team like the Lions that utilizes three safeties that can bump him down into the box and use him for run support. This guy could be perfect because he has all of the potential in the world. He's also really exciting because you don't know about him, right? We don't really know anything about Bobby Price, right? He's so under the radar. It's like, wow, like you look at the size, like this dude, the numbers are great. I just really never got to watch him play. So I went back and I watched him play with the best film that I could find. And we're going to talk about what I took away from Bobby Price a little bit. The safety out of Norfolk State. We're always going to start off with the good and then we'll get into the weaknesses. Keep in mind, these are drafted free agents, so don't take it too hard. Okay, there's a reason they weren't drafted. Keep that in mind. And two, you also have to understand they're going to have flaws because they have to build on those. They have to get better. Every player we look at has flaws. Every player has flaws. But these may have more than others, and that's okay. It's just really, can you find something that you think you can build on and improve and find a role for him in your defense. In this case, Bobby Price as a safety or a corner or a linebacker or special teams, wherever you want to put it. Let's talk about the positives. Now, the first thing before we get into really the strengths is that I saw a quote where he said he's talked to, a lot of teams, and some teams say that they like him at safety and some teams say they like him at cornerback because of his length. They think that they might be able to try to move him to a cornerback position because a 6'4" corner with long arms, that could be a really tough corner to go against. Now, it's really hard, I feel like, to go from safety to corner. Corners sometimes sometimes go with the safety. I feel like it's going to be tough to go to corner unless you have crazy athletic elite speed, which he might. The thing with Bobby Price is that he was super unlucky. Obviously, he wasn't in the NFL Combine. Then his pro day with all of the, stuff going on, it didn't really happen. So he had to I guess he recorded his workout. We have some numbers, some we don't. Some is projected, but he kind of recorded the workout, sent it to all 32 teams, and that's all that teams really have. And us, we have even less information to work with. So we have some projected numbers on what he may have put up, like a 4.63 would have been his projected 40-yard dash. But what we did have numbers-wise and what we came away with from what we saw from him, his numbers were incredible. This guy graded out as an elite prospect. I'll show you the relative athletic score that they gave for him. It was incredible. So he's definitely like someone that seems to have all that potential. Now we just really need to see him on the field. And when you go to Norfolk State, you really don't hear about these guys. You don't even, I don't even know the teams that they're playing against. So let's go into the strengths and weaknesses. Let's start off with the strengths and talk about him. The first thing is he is a big hitter. Now, we've talked about two safeties so far that I feel like could help in run support, right? Jalen Elliott, and then we talked about Jeremiah Dinson, who I felt was a great tackler, maybe the most pure tackler I saw so far when I was looking at, undrafted free agents or players we brought in. But when you look at a guy like Bobby Price, while sometimes he does miss tackles, this dude's a way bigger hitter. Maybe that's because of his size, maybe it's because he was playing against smaller players. I don't know. I think, they're still monsters. If you're in Division I football, you're still playing against monsters, all right? Let's just make it real. You're playing anywhere in college. You're playing against some really, really talented athletes. And when you look at a guy like Bobby Price, he lights them up, man. This dude lights them up like a linebacker would, right? He runs through people. He doesn't just hit them, he runs through them. I love it. I love his aggression. This guy is a very emotional player, and not in a way where he starts crying, he doesn't just cry on the field, but he is like really into it, man. This guy shows passion. He is out there. He's loud. He's like a loud player. Something big happens. He's out there. He's excited. He's jumping around. I wouldn't say he's necessarily cocky. He's really into the game. I love the feel that he brings. He makes you feel some sort of way when you're watching. Makes you feel like you're in the game, really watching a player that loves to be out there. His numbers statistically are really good. I actually have them pulled up here. We'll read through these. 3-year starter who earned a second team All Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference honors, 73 tackles, 2.5 for a loss, and an interception and 8 pass breakups as a senior. And he also earned a third team All MEAC honors when he made 59 total tackles, 2.5 sacks, and 2 interceptions and 8 pass breakups in his junior year. Overall, his numbers are really good. I believe he has 7 total interceptions in college. His numbers are good, but you got to keep in mind the competition he's going against, right? Norfolk State. Every once in a while, they'll play a good team. Maybe earlier in the year, teams, will play them because they're just trying to get that win. But, they're kind of like a scrimmage for them. But you got to keep in mind their competition game in and game out maybe isn't the same as a guy in the SEC. And that's a huge reason they fall off. I mean, that's why you can find gems, because it's not necessarily a bad thing because, yeah, you played at a small school. Sure, your competition was the same, but it doesn't mean you can't be a good player, because that's where you can find a lot of hidden gems. Kenny Galladay out of Northern Illinois, right? We weren't expecting that. Not a lot of people were. That's why they had him so low, just because of the competition you play. But he did end up with the Lions for a reason. I think they did find something that they liked. Apparently, they liked what they saw when they watched him. Now, I don't exactly know how the pro day thing completely worked out, but what I've heard is that when they watched him, they were immensely like engaged watching him, because he just had a lot of size, and they felt like he could fit in our defense. And what he brings to the table, it looks like he could, if he can put it all together, if he become more polished with some presence from some leaders defensively. I see that. Let's keep going with the strengths that I took away. His ability to play down on the line, right, linebacker, play in the box. We've seen this with a lot of safeties we've had, but this is probably the guy that has the most potential to do that. Now, he doesn't weigh as much as, a linebacker would. So again, it'd be like a nickel formation. You put him out there, but he does have that size with his height. He has enough size to play like linebacker. And again, he's not afraid to tackle, right? This guy can bring down a running back, I'm sure of it. It's just, he goes through players. He doesn't just tackle them. He doesn't just wrap up. He will run through them as he wraps up. Good tackling, but he does miss a few times. So I will put that on his weaknesses as well. He's not as pure or as consistent, I would say, as I saw with a guy like Jeremiah Dinson. So keep that in mind. Love his ability to cover a lot of ground. Now, I talked about how he's kind of like an elite athlete, right? This guy has a lot of size. He's kind of fast. His measurables are really good. He covers a lot of ground as a safety. And when they move him back as a safety, he can cover the field, and I think that's a huge reason he's back there. They didn't necessarily use him as a corner or just a linebacker. They put him back there a lot as a free safety because he covers a lot of field. If it's a run play, he can make pursuits across the field really quickly with just a couple of strides. In pass plays, he can jump on routes. Now, I will say, going to his weaknesses, his instincts aren't always great, and one thing that I see a problem with is at times he has inconsistent, ability to make the right angle. So if a guy is running the football and he's coming necessarily like on a toss and he's trying to come across the field, he sometimes will take a bad angle and he'll end up behind the running running back instead of really getting in front of him. Where if you take the right angle, you're going to get in front of him. It's not that point about athleticism. It's just making the right decisions and having the right instincts and taking the right pursuit on a player. Sometimes he does it and he'll get caught behind, and he's diving and he's chasing, and that's not where you want him. So that's something I think will come with experience, and as he continues to practice with the Lions this offseason, depending on how long he is here, I think that'll help him if he can practice with some of these other Lions players. So I definitely see some good stuff from him. I love his ability to punch the ball. This guy always has a knack for the ball. While he may give up some completions and stuff like that, I always see him going for the football. It reminds me of Justin Coleman a lot, right? Never gives up the play, going for the football, trying to knock it out, trying to make a play on the ball. Now let's go to some of the weaknesses. I already kind of touched on a lot of them, right? We don't know against a great competition that he played. The competition wasn't really there. I think he just needs to be more polished. I feel like he's a very, very raw player, and I feel like you get this guy from veterans. You put this guy with Walker, you put him with Harmon, you put him with some guys that can help him a little bit. This guy's going to be a lot better, and if you clean up a few things, the potential is there, right? The potential is definitely there, and that's always the question, right? Everybody can have potential, but can you live to that? Can you thrive, with that potential? Can you pull it all together? That's always the main question, and that's again the case with Bobby Price here, because he may have more potential than any player we've even talked about so far because he has that size and athleticism and the cool numbers, and he's a big hitter. He just needs to put it all together because there's also so many weaknesses. It's just like, okay, that's something that can be fixed with time. That can be fixed with time. You just need someone to pair him with that can help him out and kind of take him to that next level. I see a lot of potential here. His instincts can be at question at times, making the wrong decisions. But again, I think that just comes with playing. And I think that comes with playing and, being around players that make the right decisions and know what they're talking about. And having that leadership in the back end, I think Deron Harmon's huge for a lot of these guys. I think Deron Harmon can help a lot of these guys. And even though they don't play the exact same type of style, I still think, just being a player that's been around the game a long time, those guys are the players that you can ask questions. And that's what they always tell rookies to do, is ask a lot of questions. And I feel like that's what Bobby Price is going to have to do. Now, where would his role be with the Lions? I think, again, kind of like a Miles Killebrew type of role. Again, a third safety. If he was in the starting defensive side of the ball, he'd be our third safety. He'd be the guy that come in on the box and kind of move around on, passing down, stuff like that. Help cover tight ends, help cover running backs, because he can fly around, and he's not a liability against the run. I could definitely see him being a nice special teams player early if he does make the team, because he's a good tackler. Yeah, I could imagine this guy just flying down on a kickoff and just running through the returner. I could definitely imagine that. He's got just a lot of size, and that size allows him to match up with tight ends. And because most of the time safeties you're fast enough to keep up with tight end, but if they're really big, sometimes they can kind of body you. No, not the case. This dude's 6'4". There's no tight end bodying this guy. He's going to get up there with the tight end. If anything, he's probably going to be more athletic. He'll take the ball. So to me, it's all about the decision making. It's all the mental part of the game, not necessarily what his physical traits are, because I feel like they're all there. He just needs leadership, time to put it together. I don't know if he'll make the team. It's tough with the shortened offseason. It's going to be really, really tough for a lot of players, unfortunately. So I don't know how it's going to look. If it's a shortened preseason, we'll see him even less. But I do want to see all these guys. I want to see what they can do on the field. And Bobby Price is excited because just the size. You cannot teach that. I say, you can't teach a lot of things, but you can't teach that. You can't teach how big this dude is and, the potential that he could have if he can put it all together. So I see a lot of potential. That's really what he is here. He is completely raw as a safety. Good and bad. He's inconsistent. He just needs to find a way to put it together. And if he can do that with some help, maybe over time, maybe not year one, maybe you keep him on the team a little bit, maybe practice squad, maybe he continues to learn, and at some point he flourishes and becomes that steal that no one's really talking about as an undrafted free agent. They've had him before. Don't count undrafted free agents out. Snacks was as well. So there you go. What do you guys think about him? Have you guys checked out Bobby Price? If you have not, hopefully, this helped you give you a little bit more of an insight. If there's any kind of videos that you guys enjoy, like what series do you guys enjoy? What is your favorite kind of videos? Comment that right now. That is the comment question of the day. Until next time, thank you for watching, and I'm out.